Welcome to Revenue Growth Live with Darrell Amy. You're about to join an interactive forum where business executives, sales professionals, and marketing leaders share ideas to accelerate growth. While you are here, make sure to like or subscribe to get notifications for future episodes. You're encouraged to get involved in today's live conversation by liking and commenting. Now, let's join Darrell Amy for fresh ideas and innovative strategies to help you grow your business faster.
Good morning and welcome back to Revenue Growth Live. Darrell Amy here, growth architect. I enjoy helping generous leaders and their organizations grow. I'm glad you're here today. This is an exciting time. And you go, Darrell, why are you so fired up? Well, part of it is because I'm on my third cup of coffee. And by the way, we do have an organizational consultant that's come into our operating company at Convergo, where we do growth strategies for companies that use traction. And our HR consultant looked at our team and basically said, Darrell, you need to cut the coffee. So obviously I'm not doing well at that today. The reason I'm so fired up, in addition to the caffeine, is that 2021 Authentic Selling Challenge is on. Day one was yesterday, and it has been fantastic with now over 4,000 people participating in the YouTube launch of this. And it's so exciting to see this movement of authentic sales professionals stepping up. And that really brings us to our topic today. And but before I introduce our topic and introduce our guest, I want to let you know about some resources that are out there. One of them was a really fascinating conversation I got to have, and I don't want you to miss this. I've got to have a fascinating conversation with Ann Chang. Ann is a leader in the space of artificial intelligence, specifically related to sales and marketing. And at Revenue Growth Live, one of the things that I'm committed to is bringing you the latest, greatest, keeping you on the cutting edge of trends that are happening out there. One of those trends that obviously we've been talking about in the sales world for a long time, but hasn't got a whole lot of definition, is where does artificial intelligence fit into all of this? Mark Benioff, of course, the CEO and founder of Salesforce.com, said to his team, he said, I believe that artificial intelligence is actually going to have more impact on the world than the internet. So when someone like Mark says that, and is backed up by other leaders in the tech world, you realize this is something we need to pay attention to. I hadn't found a real good practical use for it. So, I mean, there's some, but I'm telling you what, this conversation with Ann opened my eyes in terms of what some of the practical uses for AI are. She's rolling some out right now in her company. And just to get in the loop on some of the mindset of the innovators in the sales space, I want you to go and listen to Ann's conversation. I got my conversation with her. It was fantastic. The other thing that I'm excited about right now is I'm excited about the 2021 Authentic Selling Challenge. We have 10 days. We're on day 2 today with sales reps and leaders and influencers from around the world that are coming together and saying, hey, I want to take my career to the next level in authenticity in both results, but also fulfillment. And I want to show a brief promo on what this is all about, because I don't want you to miss out on it. If you're in sales, you want to be there. If you're in marketing, hey, come along and invite your sales team. So let me show you this brief video, and then I'll set up our conversation for today. Wow, this is an incredible event, and I love the heart behind this. And I want to bring a guest into Revenue Growth Live today. This is my good friend, my business partner, my co-host for the
Oh,
podcast, the fellow MC for the 2021 Authentic Selling Challenge. Larry, welcome to Revenue Growth Live.
this is so cool. By the way, can you rewind that video again, Darrell?
It is exciting. I will say, yesterday, and I want to talk, by the way, the topic today for everyone listening in live or hitting this later is what's missing in sales development as we look forward into 2021. But we got this idea a couple, I don't know, October, November. We're like, what can we do to kick off the new
less
year?
than 90 days, Darrell. I can tell you that.
I think it started as let's do a webinar, and next thing you know, we created a 10-day event with an hour a day with some of the world's leading authorities, thought leaders, inspirational people. We've got, I mean, it was great. And by the way, if you haven't signed up yet, when you sign up, you can watch yesterday's video, which we had Dave Sanderson. He was the last guy off that U.S. Airways flight that crashed into the Hudson River. He stayed behind, made sure everybody got off of the plane, and his story of authenticity and his transformation in that moment was incredible. And that was just day one. So we got 9 days left. And a lot of it, though, and I'm excited, Larry, this roster of people that have come together around the movement of authenticity in sales, just incredible.
No, it was so interesting, Darrell. Yesterday, it was at the end of the day. I finally decompressed a little bit, and I rewatched the video again, and I go, wow. And then I watched some of the participants in the Selling from the Heart participants group, and somebody said, how in the heck did you get Dave Sanderson to kick this off?
No idea.
And when you bring your heart to the forefront, and you really, and two of my favorite words, this, Darrell, and the community knows it, is connect and relate. And when you can do that, people will rise to the occasion, and they'll be willing to lend their hand and lend their knowledge and lend their support. And that's what's happened, Darrell, with this whole event. I mean, just to see the comments and the camaraderie and the community that's just built after one day, I'm like going, holy smokes. I go, Darrell, I think we're onto something.
Well, and that brings us to our conversation today, which is, I think we've struck a nerve, and it's a good one, by the way. It's not one of those bad nerves that you strike like a toothache, but I think we've touched on something that is a missing piece, a big gap in the sales development world. And I'm curious from your perspective, Larry, and you've been involved in sales now for 3 decades. I think you're in your 4th. You've been involved in sales development with sales teams from enterprise all the way down to mom and pop local businesses now for 5 years after your career of 27 years in sales. I'm curious, as you look out across the landscape of sales people, sales leaders, sales development, what do you think is missing right now in a lot of this? What's the X factor that's missing?
The X factor, call it the secret sauce. I'm just going to bring up one word. It's heart. And the simple reason is, as I was watching your trailer to Revenue Growth Engine, I wrote down a sentence. And the sentence is, people buy emotion. Well, if we all can agree people buy with emotion and then they logically think through it, then the disconnect occurs with, why aren't many selling with emotion if people buy on emotion? And I bring this to the forefront because that's what I did in sales forever. I brought the emotions and I wore my emotions on my sleeves. And the transformation, I just love the transformation when I see sales leaders and salespeople who will just open up, right? Let the guards down, get vulnerable with themselves and say, what would it be like if I brought to the heart to the forefront? I brought emotion to the forefront and I use that to better connect with my clients. To me, I've seen it right before my very eyes. The conversations with clients and prospects changed like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think in sales development, we usually start with habits, and tactics, right? Which we need that. We need call blocks. We need to know how to prospect. We need to know how to block and tackle in sales. And then maybe we get to the mental level, right? Like business acumen and adding value and all of that. Even though that's a huge gap, by the way, I believe along this line, but very, very rarely do we get to the level of the heart. And the heart is, it's the seat of emotional intelligence. It's the seat of wisdom. It's the place where we connect with other human beings. And yet every B2B sales pro and most B2C salespeople would say people buy from people, yet we take the organ that we use for connection and we totally
remove it.
Yeah, we ignore it, we remove it, or at the very least, we don't really nurture it. We kind of just gut it out. And what we need is we need to bring our hearts to the table, and we need authenticity, which was the root of this challenge, right? Authentic relationship and authentic value and authentic habits, but it all begins with the heart.
Yeah, and here's what's interesting, because I remember, and you and I have openly talked about, and I've been on some really good in-depth conversations with other people. And they go, hey, you know what? And be careful how you use the word authenticity, because it's so overused. Well, guess what? I mean, this
Under-practiced. Overused
and not practiced, right?
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why I believe it's a lifestyle. And when you come from that perspective of not having to think about it, right? I always say, I remember forever and a day in sales and you've known me, Darrell, a long time. I said, you get what you get with me. Mm-hmm. There is no difference. How you see me online is how you see me face to face. How I interact with clients is the exact same way I interact with my friends. I think this is the secret sauce, but this is what I'm concerned with and you bring up a really great point, is heart's the center of it's the center of who we are. If your heart stops beating, we know what happens. But yet we remove that from the sales process or the buyer's journey, because we go, I'll use some, catchphrases. It's too mushy gushy, or I can't go there because whatever the reasons are. So we go back to tips and tactics, and I'm not here to discredit tips and tactics. There's a point in time where those come into play. But in the very beginning, when I say in the very beginning, you getting to know somebody and them getting to know you, it's not based on tips and tactics. It's based on a human conversation with another human that will transition at some point in time, hopefully to a business conversation. But you have to get to the heart of what matters. No pun on selling from the heart, but you really have to dig in and you have to get to the core. You have to really tug. I remember, Darrell, this goes back. Remember Matt Newman, who came on the Selling from the Heart podcast? And I remember him saying something, you got to tug on the emotional heartstrings of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the missing link. Goes back to, if people buy an emotion, then my challenge to the sales world is then sell with emotion, sell with deep passion and emotion.
And I think this also goes to marketing, and I'll put my marketing hat on, and for our friends who are listening in, who are in marketing, or if you're a solopreneur or entrepreneur who markets, the question is, and this goes to company leaders as well, are we bringing our hearts, the heart of our company, to the market as well, right? So it's not just, you talk in Selling from the Heart. And by the way, if you haven't read the book, Selling from the Heart, go to Amazon, get it. Congratulations, Larry, on the bestseller and all of it. I mean, the book has been amazing. Get Larry's book. But I would say get the book if you're in marketing as well, because we want to bring authenticity in all of it. and even in marketing, right? Not just, the corporate, you talk about empty suit salespeople in selling from the heart. We've got empty suit companies as well, right? That are just vomiting out all this blah, 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 corporate buzzword soup, rather than actually bringing the heart to the market, bringing video, bringing the heart of the owners, of the management team, of the company, having the voice of their clients, and really saying, you know what, here's the deal. And this is where I've become more and more convinced, and this is from hanging around with you, Larry, that the heart is the ball game. And the reason for that—
Can you repeat that again, Darrell, please?
The heart is the ball game. And you convinced me of that. Hey, you hang around with me. I'm a logic guy, right? I'm a systems process, all that stuff. But if we're going to connect with people, whether we're in sales, whether we're in marketing, whether we lead a company, we've got to begin with the heart. And the reason I think for that, there's a bunch of them, but the reason for it is trust is the currency of business. Mark Hunter said that
he did.
Last week on the Selling from the Heart podcast. And if you don't have trust, you don't have any capital to work with. You don't have any resources. So where does trust come from? Trust comes from connection. It comes from authenticity. It comes from we build that trust inside relationships with people, and I would say with brands as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I want to go back to what you said, when you threw your marketing hat on this, because I think back in some of the organizations that I've worked with in past sales lives, is let's just take a look at how you connect with people and then go to corporate websites just for a quick moment. Mm-hmm. You're going to see mission statements, vision statements, value statements that are all client centric, right? They may even have the word heart or something there, close to it. My question is when the going gets tough, do you act upon it? Mm-hmm. And, you bring up leaders and so forth, is leaders must not only talk it, they must walk it and live it. Because one of the sayings that I just love saying is those leaders that lead with the heart develop a sales team and a culture that will go out into the marketplace with their heart.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple as that. I always say it's not rocket science, but we turn it into rocket science.
Well, and I want to give a shout out this morning. I just noticed Tyler is one of the participants in the Selling from the Heart Challenge, the Authentic Selling Challenge. I'm enjoying getting to know Tyler through LinkedIn, and we've just been chatting. And here's an example of a sales professional that said, you know what, I'm going to bring my heart to the table. And man, when you get to, I connect with him online, you'll see somebody that is saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to bring, I'm not going to hide behind the corporate buzzwords. I'm not going to hide behind my brand, behind my brochures, behind my company. I'm going to bring myself to the table. And, and this is so good. This is, we're having fun. We're bumping up on our times. We're going to have to land the plane because we're going in. But Larry, you're absolutely right. And look, our friend Danny Kane is here as well. Danny, Happy New Year. What's going on, man? Yeah, it's, you got to walk it. You got to walk it. And Danny walks it. And this, I think, this is, I just want to sum this up. We're talking about sales development here this morning. And for everybody that is in sales or is a sales leader, let me talk to sales leaders first. My question to you is, what are you doing to develop the heart of your sales team? The relationship dynamics, the ability to connect and develop authentic relationships and real conversation. And then for sales professionals, you're not off the hook. If your company doesn't provide this for you,
go do it yourself.
Go do it yourself, right? That's what I was reading. And Dave Sanderson yesterday was our guest on the first episode, first day of Selling from the Heart. And, he was like, look, the reality is you've got to, his mentor said, Bill told me that if I was really going to grow and be the best, I needed to invest in my own training outside my company. And so look, there's no excuse. We can't sit around and go, oh, a company doesn't help. Well, guess what? Even if your company has the best sales training in the world, you still need to invest in yourself. So, I want to challenge you to do that. And Larry, I just, as we wrap up today, I just want to say thanks for inviting me along on this journey of the heart. This is so good. And this authentic selling challenge that's going on right now, I can't wait. We're in 40 minutes. We kick off day 2. And the whole topic is the heart with Liz Windling. And it's going to be fantastic. So if you're listening in here live, join the challenge right now. If you're listening in later, join the challenge. What's cool is all these are recorded. So you can go back, even if you can't be there live every day from 12 to 1 Eastern, you can definitely participate by watching later. And let's Larry, I'm getting on my soapbox on this, but it's marketing professionals, sales professionals, and company leaders. Let's bring the heart to what we do. It is the X factor. You can't fake it, but when you bring it to the table, you're going to generate new levels of trust. That's going to generate new levels of revenue. And that's what we're all about here at Revenue Growth Live. So, hey, thanks for hanging out with us today, Larry.
Hey,
I'll see you in 40 minutes.
Hey, this was impromptu, but this was cool.
Totally cool.
Hey, Darrell, do I get an invite back?
You just might if you're nice to the host. So, yeah, we'll have you back. This is good. You're actually the first official guest on Revenue Growth Live. So Revenue Growth Live is usually where we talk about what's on my mind. So
hey, by the way, the people that are watching this, whatever's on Darrell's mind sometimes is pretty scary.
It definitely is that. So we'll see you in the 2021 Authentic Selling Challenge. We'll be back here on Thursday, 1 hour early, because we're broadcasting the challenge at the normal time for Revenue Growth Live. And until then, let's get going and let's get growing.